everybody, and welcome back to the funniest tweets. Yes, if this is your first time, where were you for Bahrain? But welcome. All you have to do is use the hashtag P1 and you could potentially be featured in next time's episode for the Australian Grand Prix. Simple as that. Let's get into the memes and tweets. Alonso drama. Here we go, everybody.
Oh, come on, Fernando.
Fernando, take the lead. Look at his grid position, by the way. He's so right.
I hope he's not doing a knock-on.
And it's lights out. Go, Alonso.
Go, Fernando.
Go, Fernando.
Yes!
Go on. Yes! Oh, baby. Fernando Alonso takes the lead. Alonso's got an incorrect starting location.
No, I thought
he was
I
so
said
far
that, didn't
out
I?
of position, for Christ's sake.
No.
So the 2023 season is about Red Bull and Fernando Alonso, apparently. They are front and centre stage in this season. And Fernando Alonso gets his own segment for this week's episode just purely because he is an absolute genius at 41 years old. The first tweet for the Fernando Alonso segment comes in from Mark Stappen. Alonso going P1 but getting a 5-second time penalty. This man, Fernando Alonso, decided he wanted to beat Esteban Ocon this week. So if you go back to Bahrain, Ocon didn't position his car correctly in the grid box and then also didn't serve his penalty correctly. The only thing Fernando didn't do is speed in the pit lane. He genuinely misses Esti Besti in that Alpine so much. But unfortunately for him, right at the end, not after the end actually, we find out Fernando Alonso has lost his podium slot and his 100th podium. How savage is that? Jones_RF873, look at me, I'm the Ocon now. It's just sad, isn't it? Why? I'm trying not to pop off at the FIA in round 2, but I feel like my comments are needed on this one. Why are we finding out after the race that Fernando Alonso did not serve his penalty correctly? I even said on our Twitch watch along, Matt P1 Tommy, if you haven't seen it already, that rear, I think I said something around the rear jack man looked like it kind of touched the car. Maybe something went on that they shouldn't, they touched the car too early. Why is the FIA finding out about this after the race? It seems as though Mercedes started complaining. How are they not analysing this before? It doesn't allow Fernando Alonso to defend and extend the gap to over 10 seconds. Not happy. At Alialacta Est Deo, Stroll sacrificing himself for Alonso. I did think for a moment, is Alonso going to gain a lot from this? And technically, he did. He managed to serve his 5-second penalty under the safety car, which I didn't even realise was allowed. I thought that wasn't allowed at all. It apparently was. But then they messed up doing the penalty, which is just... Why can't they just not touch the car for 5 seconds? How hard is that as a job? But Stroll, not only that, but caused a safety car. What was that about? How was that a safety car? 1 millimetre of his car was on the track. Norris Leclerc F1, Alonso serving his penalty under the safety car. He must have thought, this is my day. How much did it ruin the first part of the race, by the way? Alonso taking the lead off the start like an absolute legend and then getting the 5-second penalty for something so silly as the grid box. He was so far out of his grid box, it was clear as day. It wasn't like marginal, like Ocon had. It was half his car was basically out. And finally, in the Fernando Alonso segment, this one comes in from _SE68, Alonso's teammate causing a safety car on a street circuit. Now, for those that have watched Formula 1 for a very long time, I did previously mention it, 2008, Fernando Alonso's teammate, Nelson Piquet Jr., spears into the wall to help Fernando win the race from 15th on the grid. One of the biggest conspiracies in Formula 1 history, which was then proved and lots of things kicked off. But it did give you a tiny bit of, is Fernando going to win again? Perez versus Verstappen. At Geordie Boomer. Objects and mirrors are closer than a bit. Fast guy. Now, I think a lot of people, I think we did a poll, by the way, 65%, I think it was, believed that Verstappen was going to win from 15th on the grid. He wasn't far off, but Perez showed up and was actually the fast guy in Saudi Arabia. What is it with him and street circuits? He had the match for Verstappen in race trim, which is kind of unheard of in that teammate rivalry. At DJW1872, Red Bull's actual engine supplier this year, they were very fast, were they not, with a bit of DRS, especially passing the likes of the Mercedes. They flew through, and how the turntables from a few years ago, where the Mercedes was the one with the incredibly quick engine. So I'm sure it feels good for Verstappen to fly past engine. To fly past engine. Yes, that's what I meant, Matt. To fly past the Mercedes engines. At _VK Bansel, Verstappen and Perez trading fastest laps. Perez had the measure. I'm very impressed. It was ping pong. Fastest lap for Perez, fastest lap for Verstappen, and just back and forth, back and forth. And Sergio did absolutely everything he needed to win that race, apart from lose the lead at the start to Alonso. But maybe he was so chill by the fact that he looks in his mirror and sees Alonso so far out of his grid box that he didn't actually need to beat him down towards turn 1. Ledandan _ Perez and Verstappen matching lap times. Perez on street tracks. I don't know what it is about walls. Perez just loves a wall. If you have a street track championship, Sergio Perez will be world champion. Ferrari strategy. Of course there's a Ferrari segment. Why wouldn't there be? And actually, it's not really getting too angry with them. It's more getting angry at the universe. This one comes in from @RealYardyF1. Ferrari, after pulling off some beautiful strategy calls, then gets a safety car that neutralises everything. Naturalises, actually, that says, but neutralises, I think, what we meant there. I know, Ferrari were doing a really good job. And then the safety car kind of screwed them. But then also there's something else that I do have to get a little bit angry about when it comes to Ferrari, and I'll show you now. At Jean Carl Muscat 1, Leclerc charging at Xavi after the race. Now, usually when you tell a driver to push, you do it before he needs to push, not after. And I can imagine Leclerc was like, why are you telling me to push to safety car line 1 after I'm here and the Mercedes is already out of the pits? Doesn't make sense, does it? At WJ Kederman, Leclerc's engineer, I'm not angry. And fair enough, he was absolutely in his own rights to be angry. But realistically, it didn't really change much. Ferrari were nowhere, don't want to talk about it, let's move on. No, let's do one more Ferrari meme because you love to see my pain, don't you? At Crystal Horner, Ferrari, good strategy. Safety car. Usually it's the other way around, or usually there's a good strategy and then it's Ferrari doing plan Z or blowing up. I can accept just a bit of bad luck. I'll take it. McLaren pain.
Piastri. Oh,
Oscar Piastri
Oscar
fancying
Piastri on Lando.
fancying a little. Oh my god. Now, if you're a McLaren fan, I would recommend perhaps skipping this segment because the amount of memes they came in their hundreds. Hashtag P1 if you want to get involved next time for the Australian Grand Prix. But they came in hundreds. So let's get into it, shall we? At Saki _is_GOAT, McLaren P19 and 20. How have both of them lost their front wing or had some kind of reason to come into the pits and change their front wing? They were last for a very long time. And not just that, at the end of the race, they were battling Logan Sargent. I now know who the most struggling fan base is, and it's not even close. I would like to say, as a Ferrari fan, we are hurting, and we are. Our expectations are to be fighting for race wins and maybe a championship. But McLaren fans were not expecting them to be dead last at the start of the race and to not be anywhere near the points come the end. I feel for you, and I know how you feel as well. At Robert Ware, live look at McLaren's season. It's really not going well, is it? And to be fair, as much as they were fighting for 15th, 16th, whatever it was, Piastri is actually showing quite a lot of promise. So when your car is sorted, I think you'll have two drivers that will really score a lot of points. But when that will be, I can't tell you. I don't think Lando's going to be on the podium come Imola. I just don't get the sense this year it's going to turn around that quickly. At Samuel OFC 97, Lando and Oscar both pitting by the end of lap 2. What did you do in that moment, McLaren fans? Let me know in the comments. What did you do? Was it screaming? Did you say maybe something like, why am I alive, like I did from the first race when Leclerc retired? How are you dealing with your grief? Because I'd like to learn as well, because I'm hurting as well. So, 6th and 7th for Ferrari is just not where we want to be. But at least Leclerc finished, hey? Is it about turning it into a positive? Maybe. Now, this one I'm sorry for, but I love the GIF so much that it has to be included. GA_R1997, Norris and Piastri. Oh, competing right now. This GIF never gets old. And it is a bit of a dustbin, is it not? Like, really? It's just not working out, is it? I hope they get better, because you can't... Like, the expectations and where you are just don't match up at all. Now, I did say a lot of memes came in this McLaren segment. There's a couple more, I'm sorry. At F1_Philippines, come on, do something. 19th and 20th. 19th and 20th. I mean, they didn't finish there. Had a few DNFs and they made up a few positions, but realistically, still nowhere near where you should be, realistically, with Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri in your car. And the final meme on the McLaren segment, you'll be pleased to know if you are a McLaren fan, comes in from Abrahama_CS. How can we not include Daniel Ricciardo in this? McLaren running P19 and P20 after 2 laps. How must Daniel Ricciardo be feeling? It must be a wad of cash in one hand, a wad of cash in the other, and he's just wiping away the tears that he doesn't have to drive for McLaren this year. I actually don't think Danny Rick's feeling all too bad at the moment. Honourable mentions. We've just got one for the honourable mentions because I feel like we've had a lot of tweets in the other segments, and it comes in from V2Husker46. Yuki on the radio. I love how just out of nowhere, no other sort of, I'm not happy, oh my God, what did he do? Just screamed down the mic when he lost that position for P10. Just Yuki things. Okay, it's my favourite part of the show, Tommy's Tasty Tweet. Tom Bellingham. What have you picked this week, my friend?
I've picked this tweet from Mr. Idiot, and it's you trying your best to jinx Red Bull. Didn't quite work. They had a few problems, but still a great banging tweet.
I've got the hat, actually. Here it is. Oh, no, that's the other one. Oh, there's one here. Okay, here we go. Boom. There it is. The power wasn't really working this week. It nearly did, didn't it? With the drive shaft and the long brake pedal for Perez, but not quite. The power was just lacking a little bit.
Maybe you need to not wear 2 because you jinxed and then anti-jinxed it again. So maybe just the one. I think you've done yourself there.
Noted for next time. Right, that is it. Thank you so much for tuning in to the funniest tweets to the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. I hope you enjoyed it. As a Ferrari fan, I'm hurting, but I'm smiling through the pain. But I'm still not hurting as much as McLaren fans. Will Australia be better? Who knows? It's a couple of weeks, and then we've got this gargantuan gap where we almost pretend it's the off-season because it's like a month after Australia. But anyway, hashtag P1 if you want to get involved next time, and we'll see you very soon for another episode of the funniest tweets. Bye!